Now, typologists classify languages syntactically according to the order of the elements in clauses in various types of phrases, especially possessive phrases, adpositional phrases, those are like prepositional phrases, and noun plus adjective phrases, noting correlations among the orders of elements in these different phrases. Chickasaw is an SOV language, meaning that the subject, object, and verb most neutrally come in that order in a simple sentence. As an example, 1, Ofiat Koi'an Fliahuli, which has the order dog, cat, chase. By contrast, English is an SVO, subject, verb, object language. As example 1 shows, Chickasaw has nominal case marking, much like that of Latin or German. The subject noun in 1 is marked nominative and the object is marked accusative. This case marking facilitates a certain freedom of word order in the language. Under certain discourse conditions, the object can appear before the subject or one noun can appear following the verb. Usually, however, sentences with 2 nouns have the SOV order. Prototypical SOV languages like Japanese or Turkish have what has been called by linguistic theorists like Greenberg or Hawkins a harmonic order, in which every type of syntactic phrase ends with its head. Thus, sentences end with the verb, possessed noun phrases end with the possessed noun, adpositional phrases end with a postposition, and phrases containing a noun modified by an adjective end with the noun. Chickasaw does not fully follow this typological pattern. As in other SOV languages, Chickasaw genitive or possessor nouns precede possessed nouns, as is in example 2. In the phrases Iho Imofik, the woman's dog, and John Ilbuck, John's hand, the possessors woman and John come before the nouns they possess. Nouns like Ofik, dog, that are not always possessed, have a dative prefix when they're possessed. Inalienably possessed nouns like Ilbuck, hand, and many other kinship terms and body parts don't need this marker. It is standard in SOV languages for adpositions to follow their objects. Thus, these languages use postpositions, put after the noun, rather than prepositions like English. Chickasaw actually has neither prepositions nor postpositions. Instead, adpositional notions are expressed with applicative verb prefixes. In 3, for example, adding the prefix "a" to the verb in 1 licenses the addition of a locative argument to that sentence. So we can add the noun chukka, house, to the sentence in 2, producing the sentence in 3, only because that "a," the double A prefix, appears on the verb fliokoli, the last word in the sentence. Note that in this sentence, the noun chukka is not adjacent to the prefix "a." So these 2 elements don't form a constituent or unit. Now, locatives like house in 3 can be specified more precisely by the use of relational nouns, such as anonka, inside, in 5. So this sentence means the cat chases the house, the dog chases the cat inside of the house. We've added the word inside, but we still need this "a" prefix on the verb. And as sentence 5 shows, 5 prime shows, this sentence would not be any good if you left that "a" off of the verb. So sentence 5 prime is a sentence that's not a grammatical sentence of Chickasaw. Speakers would say that doesn't sound very good if you tried to say it like that, because the "a" is missing from the verb. Linguists mark ungrammatical sentences with a little asterisk in front of the sentences. So this tells us that it's really the "a" that is allowing us to put this locational noun into the sentence. So the classification of Chickasaw as either prepositional or postpositional is somewhat problematical. However, because the language uses post-nominal relational nouns, it seems more postpositional than prepositional, which is consistent with the expected SOV typology. The major way in which Chickasaw departs from standard SOV pattern is in the behavior of adjectives. First, Chickasaw does not, strictly speaking, have adjectives. Every adjectival notion in the language is expressed by a verb, which can take normal verb marking. Moreover, adjectival verbs modifying nouns do not precede them, but rather they follow them. So in 7, the brown dog chases the white cat. You can see that we have brown dog in the order dog plus this word, this verb to be brown, which is actually followed by the cut, which is a marker that tells us that be brown is a verb which has the same subject as the following verb chase. And indeed, it's the dog who is doing the chasing and who's also brown. So that makes sense. It's probably best to regard these sequences of nouns followed by adjectival verbs used as modifiers, such as look about be brown, as reduced relative clauses. This allows the analysis that the Chickasaw type of SOV language follows a different harmony that is predicate final rather than head final. Whatever the ultimate analysis of this phenomenon, Chickasaw represents a fairly unusual word order type. Greenberg classifies the more usual SOV type, which has the adjective before the noun, as type 23, whereas the less common Chickasaw type is type 24. The fact that Chickasaw differs from English in the normal order of words in a sentence is the reason why many speakers often remark that Chickasaw structure is backwards relative to English, an observation that Scancarelli also reports for Cherokee, and I'm sure many of the rest of you who have talked with speakers of Southeastern languages would agree with. Word order is not Chickasaw's only grammatical phenomenon of note, however. We saw earlier that Chickasaw marks subject and object nouns as nominative and accusative. This familiar European pattern is not particularly characteristic of the Southeast, but the way that pronominal agreement is indicated on the Chickasaw verb is remarkably typical. Chickasaw has a complex system of what's called active or active-stative agreement with non-third person arguments in a clause. In such a system, there are two groups of pronominal affixes. One, class 1, Roman numeral 1, is used for most active or transitive subjects, as in the examples in 8. So, hiva, to dance, is a transitive verb, and there in 8b and 8c on page 5, you've got the P prefix, meaning we, in sentence 8b, and the ish prefix, meaning you, in sentence 8c. The other class, class Roman numeral 2, is used for most non-active subjects and for most objects. So in the sentences in 9, you've got a po prefix indicating the subject we in 9b, and a chi prefix indicating the subject you in 9c, and these are different from the ones we saw in 8. In transitive sentences, like the ones in 10, the class 1 prefixes are used for subjects and the class 2 prefixes for objects. So for instance, in sentence 10f, we have the key prefix that was used to mean we in 8b, and the chi prefix which was used to mean object you in 9c. But that one means the, it was used to mean subject you in 9c, and it means the object in 10f. With, so a final, very characteristic feature of Chickasaw is polysynthesis, which I will define as the ability to convey a quite complex sentence within a single verb word. This is a very characteristic feature of Chickasaw and other languages of the Southeast. The simplest example of this is a sentence that contains both a pronominal subject and object, like 10f, the one that we just looked at. The fact that Chickasaw uses applicative prefixes to express notions that would be expressed with prepositions or postpositions in most other languages adds to verbal complexity, as in example 13. So this is one word that means the English sentence, we chase him with you.